Ayn Rand is a famous author in the United States. She's probably most famous for writing two novels, Atlas Shrugged and The Fountainhead. In those books, Ayn Rand articulates a philosophy for living life, a philosophy for living life on this earth, a philosophy of happiness and success and as a human being. And she's already had an incredible influence on American life and on American culture. She wrote these books. The Fountainhead came out in 1945 and Atlas Shrugged in 1957. But in spite of the fact that they were written so long ago, they are still bestsellers today. They sell hundreds of thousands of copies every single year in the United States. And today, they've been translated into almost every language in the world and sell tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of copies in those other languages. Both those books, in addition to much of her non-fiction books, she wrote books about philosophy. Most of those books have now been translated into Chinese, so all of you have an opportunity to read these magnificent books, books that change people's lives, books that have had profound impact on the lives of so many Americans. And if we think about the cultural impact of Ayn Rand, if we go back to when these books were published in the 50s and the 40s and 50s, capitalism, the idea of capitalism, the idea of free market, the idea of freedom in the marketplace was in decline in the United States. People thought capitalism was a dirty word, a bad word. And by 1980, when Ronald Reagan was elected, capitalism was a good word suddenly. Everybody was pro-capitalist. Only two thinkers during that period of time were really advocating for capitalism, were teaching people why capitalism and free market were good, why they were noble, why they were virtuous, and why they worked. Milton Friedman and Ayn Rand. So Ayn Rand had a profound impact on America's cultural attitude during that period of time towards freedom, because freedom was in decline in America, and it was resurrected by Ayn Rand. It was resurrected not just in America, but in Europe. Many of the people surrounding Margaret Thatcher were fans of Ayn Rand's novels, Atlas Shrugged and The Fountainhead. Ronald Reagan himself, in his diaries, writes about how he was a fan of Ayn Rand's writing. Most free marketers, most people who tend to support the free market in America were influenced in one way or another by Ayn Rand. Ronald Reagan didn't take all of Ayn Rand's philosophy seriously, but he was inspired by it. If you go back and you look at Michael Dell and Steve Jobs and Larry Ellison and Sam McNeely, who founded Sun Microsystems, most of the entrepreneurs, even today, the people who founded Google and other companies, you will find people who were inspired by Atlas Shrugged, inspired to be entrepreneurs, inspired to follow their passion, inspired to create great companies and to provide real value, economic value. In America, if you survey the top executives of businesses in America, you will find that almost all of them will say, a majority of them will say, that Ayn Rand, in particular Atlas Shrugged, inspired them towards the career that they have followed, inspired them to be great businessmen, inspired them to be the best that they can be. So you look at politics. A number of people in the House of Representatives, in the Senate, and even in Donald Trump's cabinet were inspired by Ayn Rand, again, to be fighters for free markets. Now, in politics, they get a little corrupted. Maybe, again, they don't understand her ideas fully. But she has already had a profound impact on the way they think about the world. So probably one of the most, if not the most influential intellectuals in the 20th century on American culture was Ayn Rand. But it's not just in America. Many of those who fought communism in Eastern Europe were inspired by her books, who were smuggled into behind the Berlin Wall, and inspired them to fight for capitalism, for free markets. I travel all over the world and I find people everywhere who are reading Ayn Rand, and gives them renewed energy about themselves, taking their own life seriously, and inspires them to fight for more freedom for themselves. What is this philosophy of Ayn Rand that so inspires people? Well, fundamentally it is a philosophy about living your life for yourself, with the goal being your own happiness. Her ethics is an ethic of rational, long-term self-interest. It's about pursuing happiness and pursuing individual human flourishing, about making your life the best life that it can be. It's about doing that by using reason, by using your mind, by thinking. So you should never view yourself as a sacrificial animal for some other person's happiness, for some other goal, for some collectivistic goal, for somebody else's values and virtues. Your life should be yours to live as you see fit, based on the values that you choose, rationally choose, for your own survival, for your own thriving as a human being. And Ayn Rand believed in a political system that left you alone so that you can pursue your values, so that you can achieve your own happiness. So she was an advocate of individual rights, that is, individual freedom, liberty, to live your life free of force, free of coercion. Live your life in the pursuit of your own happiness without the state or the church or other people telling you how to live and what to do and what to think and what to believe in. So she believed in freedom. A government that is limited to protecting you from coercion, protecting you from force, protecting you from violence, arbitrating disputes, but otherwise leaving you alone so that you can, again, follow your reason, your mind, in the pursuit of your values to make your life the best, most flourishing, successful, happy life you can. So Ayn Rand was an individualist, believed in rational self-interest, long-term self-interest, believed in human reason as the only way to know the world around us, and believed in capitalism as the only valid social political system. Capitalism as a social political system that protected individual rights, and where violence, where coercion, where force, where authority were banned from human interaction. Now, many people have been influenced by these ideas. Many people have been inspired by her books. I recommend you pick up one of her novels and read them. Maybe start with The Fountainhead, a story of an architect who has artistic integrity, who insists on building buildings the way he believes they should be built. Beautiful buildings, modern buildings, like many of the buildings I see in Chinese cities. But an architect that has integrity, that never compromises, not even for money, not for anything, doesn't compromise his aesthetic, artistic vision. And the story of his failures and his successes. And then Atlas Shrugged, after The Fountainhead, Atlas Shrugged. Both are available in Chinese. Atlas Shrugged is a story about what happens in society when the thinkers, the creators, the builders, the makers, what happens when they go on strike? What happens if they withdraw their services from society? What happens to society then? What happens when the men of the mind, the people who use their mind to create value, stop? So it's a thriller, because why are they stopping? Who is causing them to stop? Where are they going? And what is the solution to the current state of the world? So Atlas Shrugged is a big novel, a political novel, a moral novel, a novel about the world, about life. So I encourage you to read both, The Fountainhead and Atlas Shrugged, and then delve into Ayn Rand's philosophical writing. She's got a book coming out in Chinese soon called Capitalism, the Unknown Ideal. Another book that discusses her ethics has the controversial title of The Virtue of Selfishness. That's kind of a scary book, but read it. I think you'll find it really interesting and intriguing. Many other books you can find, look online. So I encourage you, read Ayn Rand. Hopefully she can be as influential here in China as she is in the rest of the world, and in particular the United States of America. Thank you.